So,
You want to buy thermal nail polish.
Alrighty, buckle up folks, this is gonna be a doozy of a video. Hey everyone, it's Nicole, welcome back to the channel. As you can tell from the thumbnail, today's video is for the newest collection from Holo. For the 5th anniversary, we have the Mixed Emotions collection. This is Holo's first time creating thermal nail polish. I feel like for those of us who have been in the nail polish game for a minute, we all kind of said,
oh my god!
When it became clear that the 5th anniversary collection were thermal nail polishes. Because of this specialty finish, I do want to talk a little bit later in the video about thermal nail polishes if you are new to the formulation. If you've already bought these and it'll be your first time wearing thermals, I do have some tips and tricks that I do think is very important for folks to know before jumping into the thermal nail polish game. In case you couldn't tell from me touching the box, Holo went all out with the packaging for this collection. The polishes are thermal, the box is thermal, even the stickers that come with the collection box are also thermal. Like, look at that. Everything's thermal. This collection is sadly limited edition. At the time of recording, the collection box just sold out. However, all 5 polishes are still available. I was gifted this collection from the brand NPR, and as always, all thoughts and opinions are my own, and this video is not sponsored. Thank you, Holo, for sending this over. As always, I will have links to where you can pick these polishes up, links to the brand's social media pages, my social media pages, and of course, timestamps are in the description box as well. Let's just get into this video. First up, we have Deeply Superficial. The brand describes this one as a bright magenta pink when cold to a pale semi-translucent pink when warm. This polish also has multicolored iridescent flakies as well as a hint of scattered holographic. Deeply Superficial had a really nice formula. It was a little bit on the thicker side, but not so thick that I needed to add thinner to my bottle. As you're seeing from this live swatch footage, this one was transitioning so quickly on me. I absolutely love both color states for this polish. I am not usually one for super pale pinks, but I am just really digging these two colors together. I feel like if this had been released last year, this would have been in like the Barbie core style. My full-on swatches here are showing Deeply Superficial in 2 coats plus glossy top coat. However, I am going to call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on personal preference. The flakies in this polish all spread very evenly and easily. This is really jam-packed with flakies, but they do not give off any texture. They will, however, make removal a bit more difficult, but not as difficult as, say, a glitter polish would. I will note the holographic gives us a very subtle sparkle. It's not an in-your-face holographic though. For all of my swatches for this release, by the way, I tried showing you both how the polish appears naturally on my nails as well as forcing the warm state and cold state on my fingers. However, because it is incredibly warm where I live right now, it was really difficult trying to keep just the cold state on 2 fingers. So you can tell on my ring finger and my pinky that my hands are just way too warm to keep the cold state going on those 2 fingers. And now we have Funny Feeling, which the brand describes as a thermal nail polish that is turquoise when cold to a chartreuse yellow when warm. And there is also a hint of green shimmer and scattered holographic. Funny Feeling had a pretty good formula. On the first coat, the warm state looks a little bit uneven and a little bit patchy. So this is one of the polishes I would say is going to be a 2 to 3 coater depending on application style and personal preference. For my full-in swatches, I used 3 coats. I did find this polish to be a bit too thick for me personally, so I did add a little bit of thinner to my bottle. Once I added thinner, I found I really like the application a lot more. I do agree with the brand's color descriptions on this one. The cold state is definitely in the turquoise family. However, I would say that the warm state, it's a very pale chartreuse. I feel like it's skirting the line between a chartreuse and a very pale green. It has too much yellow in it, I think, to be in the mint family, and it's definitely not in the lime family either. The shimmer as well as the holographic in this polish are very, very delicate. Not so delicate that I put it in the blink and you miss it category, but it's almost there. I found the shimmer to be a lot more obvious in the cold state than in the warm state. I kind of knew going into this release that this was going to be one of the polishes that I probably wasn't going to like, just because I generally prefer my thermals to have a lot more going on in them. And that obviously is not to say that this polish is bad, just for my own personal preferences. It wasn't for me personally. So that is Funny Feeling in 3 coats plus a glossy top coat. Super easy removal on this one. I did not personally experience any staining. And now we have Guilty Pleasure, which the brand describes as a thermal polish that is purple when cold to a flamingo pink when warm. This also has a hint of magenta shimmer as well as scattered holographic. Guilty Pleasure had a really nice formula. The base did not feel overly thick or thin, and I had zero application issues. Much like with Funny Feeling, I did find that the shimmer aspect of the polish was very delicate. Not so delicate that I completely missed it, but it's very subtle. This was one of the more opaque and even thermals in the collection. My full swatches here are showing it in 2 coats plus glossy top coat. Out of my very large nail polish collection, I have a strong feeling that out of all the thermals I've bought over the years, pink to purple probably ranks very high in the ones that I've bought personally. That said, I do kind of wish that there was more added to this one so that it just has a little bit more oomph to it. So even though this one is not particularly unique to my collection, which I don't think nail polish has to be unique to be beautiful, just so we're clear on that one.
I said what I said.
One thing I will say about Guilty Pleasure is the thermal pigment in here, they did not skimp on it one bit. It was very reactive on my nails. And I also really like the holographic twinkle that this one has. I thought it sparkled very nicely. Guilty Pleasure will be super easy to remove, and I had no issues with staining. And now we have Rage Bait, which the brand describes as a thermal nail polish that is coral in the cool state to a yellow tangerine in the warm state. This polish also has a hint of scattered holographic and purple micro shimmer. Rage Bait had an amazing formula. If you want a thermal that's really going to give you a ton of reactiveness and bang for your buck, I would highly recommend this one. I was really impressed with just how sensitive the thermal pigment was in this polish. Generally for thermal polishes, the color that you see in the bottle is usually going to be the cold state. As you can see here for my full-in swatches, that is not in fact the cold state. When I was doing my full-in swatches for this one, it was approximately 77 degrees in my nail room, so the outside of my bottle was looking like an orangey color. I had honestly thought that the thermal polish had died and that's why it was like the wrong color, and that was not at all the case. The thermal pigment in here is just so sensitive, my bottle just keeps changing colors. While I do still wish this had the larger style flakies, I feel like once again the shimmer was just a little bit too delicate for me personally. I was just completely blown away with how cool the thermal pigment was in this one. As you saw in the live swatch, as I put the brush on my nails, even the brush was changing colors. My full-in swatches are showing Rage Bait in 3 coats plus glossy top coat. I will call this one a 2 to 3 coater, but I just found on my nails the warm state was a little bit too uneven looking in 2 coats just to call it a good 2 coater for me, but I think for folks with shorter nails this could be a 2 coater. And while I do still think the formula on this one was fantastic, I did also add a little bit of thinner to my bottle. I just found it a little bit too thick for me initially. And the final polish in this collection is called Simply Chaotic. The brand describes this one as a thermal polish that is dark purple when cold to a turquoise when warm. There also is blue, turquoise, and orange iridescent flakes. Simply Chaotic had a fantastic formula. This is another one of the thermals that just transitioned so quickly, like you can see it changing colors here on my nail. While I would say that the turquoise color shift in this polish is fairly bright, this is still giving me very like Halloween-y kind of vibes. The flakies just pair so nicely with both color states. I absolutely love how this one looks. Most excited about this polish, and this was the final polish that I swatched of the release, because this was the final one that I swatched of the day. My ice pack was not quite icy enough anymore, so I wasn't really able to keep the cold state on my ring finger and pinky very well. But again, this polish is super reactive. I didn't realize it until I was looking over my footage, but this polish has an almost tri-thermal like effect. Right where the warm state transitions to the cold state, there is a third state right in the middle there that looks like a navy blue. This is one of the more opaque polishes in the collection, so I did swatch this one in 2 coats plus glossy top coat. Nothing in here is going to dry down super textured, but you will still want top coat just to smooth out all of those flakies. I did not personally experience any staining. Alrighty, so final thoughts. As far as the collection itself, I thought this was a really great collection. I was pleasantly surprised by how reactive the polishes were. If you follow me across my other social medias, you might have seen a video that I posted of Rage Bait. It was just a wild swatching experience. Like, my bottle was an orangey color, and I was like, oh my god, it's definitely dead. And then as I pulled my brush out, it was very clearly in the cold state, even though the bottle was like in an in-between state. And then once I got on my nails, as you saw in the live footage, like, it transitions quick. That is one thing I will say about these polishes, that I was really pleasantly surprised that I could see the colors transitioning as I applied them to my nails. Your mileage will of course vary. My hands are generally fairly warm, so like thermals definitely start changing on me fairly quickly. As far as my personal top picks from this collection, Deeply Superficial is gonna be my standout top pick. I just really think it looks cute and it's pink, so Duh. Simply Chaotic will be my second topic, largely because that one reminds me a lot of The Little Mermaid, specifically Ursula. Not to expose too much of myself here, but last year I read a book that was a retelling of The Little Mermaid, and The Little Mermaid is my favorite Disney princess, just FYI. And the retelling featured...
Oh, hell no!
So now, like, every time I think of The Little Mermaid, first my mind goes to Ursula, and then I remember this book that I read that had, like, a masculine version of Ursula as the love interest. Yeah. Are those his colors? No. But, like...
But anywho,
plus I like the colors too. I do like the colors a lot. When the spoilers for this release originally went up, I was a little bit disappointed that more of the thermal polishes didn't have like more glitter, more flakies, just more something. I really wanted like a whole mixture of finishes, and I didn't want just like a thermal that was just like color to color in like a cream kind of finish. I wanted like flakies, I wanted glitter, I wanted shimmer, I wanted the things, you know what I mean? So I do think the thermals are all fantastic, but I don't think it's a coincidence that the polishes that have some big old flakies in it are also going to be my top picks either. As far as information on thermal polishes, there are some main things that you definitely want to know.
so
You want to buy thermal nail polish.
Thermals die. As far as nail polish goes, thermals are some of the more finicky polishes that you can ever have in your collection. In general, thermals last somewhere between 6 to 12 months. Yes, there are instances where some thermal polishes can last for years. I personally have a thermal polish that I bought in 2018 that is still transitioning. However, I have over 20 thermal polishes that I've received since 2018 that are all dead. You missed it. I'm in the process of swatching my almost 6,000 bottle nail polish collection, and I've gotten a lot of thermals over the years. They all die. It's just what happens. I saw on the Holo website that they do suggest you use these polishes within 6 to 12 months because of the fact that thermals do in fact stop transitioning. What color do they stop transitioning in, you ask? It's up in the air, unfortunately. I have not seen a proven way to guarantee which way a thermal will die. Just based on my own, like, being in the nail polish community for all these years now, I have noticed one thing that seems to be a recurring factor. If your house leans to be on the more warm side, there seems to be a higher likelihood of your thermals dying in the warm state. If your house leans a bit more on the cooler side, then those will likely die in the cold state. So for me, in my house, we don't have central air conditioning. My house is over 200 years old. We got window units in a couple of the rooms. So for me, for all the thermals that I have purchased over the years, they've all either died in the warm state or in the in-between state. I do want to stress, even if your house is in the warmer side like how mine is, it's still not a guarantee that your thermal will in fact die in the warm state. I have a thermal that I got in PR in like 2021, I think, and originally it transitioned from a white to an aqua, and now it's like a brownish green. It did not die in either color state. So I really want to stress, if you love these thermals, please be aware that they will eventually die, and there is no way of guaranteeing how long they will last for or what color they will die in. Next thing to know, if you are ordering this collection, do not, and I stress this, do not order them to an address where they're going to sit in your mailbox all day long while you're away at work. If you are able to, have them sent to wherever you are during the day, assuming your mail comes during the day at least, because thermals are very sensitive to temperature changes. Sitting all day in a mailbox, sitting all day on your front step during these warm summer months or even during the winter is a fantastic way to kill your thermals. It will happen. I've had it happen to me before. Again, like I said, thermals are very, very finicky. I also want to add, Holo has a track record for having absolutely amazing customer service. I have no doubt in my mind that Holo is fully aware of how finicky thermals are, especially since they're releasing them in the middle of summer. So if your thermal polish arrives to you and you wait the 24 hours and it still is not transitioning, please contact customer service. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I did receive these in PR from Holo. However, if I was going to be buying this collection, which I would have if they hadn't sent it, I would have no doubts in my mind that if for some reason these did die in transit, that I would definitely either get a replacement or at least a refund back from the brand. If you watch my videos on a regular basis, you probably would know that thermals are one finish that I do not buy in the summer months. The only way to get me to buy a thermal during the summer months, if it's from a brand that I know has a really good track record with thermals, or a brand that I know has a really good track record with customer service. Those are the only two instances that you can get me to buy a thermal in the middle of summer, and thankfully Holo Taco always has really great customer service. Which is too bad because I think they're a really fun finish and they're really cool, but it's not like how for those of us who've been into nail polish for a while, we have like bottles that are decades old that are still like doing perfectly fine. Thermals just aren't the same. Yes, when the thermal dies, you can in fact still use the thermal. It's still nail polish after all, but it's not going to change colors. Next thing, for nail polish storage. If you have a nail polish rack like this, or you use any kind of wall storage, if you have the thermals, I do not recommend leaving them in storage such as this or anything on your wall, anything that comes in direct sunlight. Nail polish lasts the longest and best without formula changes in cool, dark places. Thermals in particular, because they're so sensitive to temperature changes, just being in a room where there's an open window and light shining directly on it can also cause the polishes to die, unfortunately. And I know, it sucks, but it's true. Storing your nail polish in a cool, dark place is the best thing you can do for the longevity of your nail polish. If you can count your nail polish in the hundreds, the IKEA Helmer is fantastic. The Alex drawer, less so, but can be doable depending on how you put them in, or even just storing your nail polish racks inside of a closet. And one final thing I do want to mention about thermals, it is not recommended to try to store your thermals in your refrigerator. Unless you have a commercial grade refrigerator that you can both control the temperature and the humidity, it is just not optimal storage for a thermal nail polish. Again, thermals can die if they get too cold as well. And then on top of that, for nail polishes, if your nail polish is really, really cold and you try to use it, you can actually mess up the formula. It'll be thick and gloopy and no amount of thinner will fix it. And speaking of temperature and thermals, when you get these thermals in the mail, if you choose to order the polishes, when you get these, do not open the bottles if you feel the bottle is warm to the touch. It is especially important when your temperatures are either on the higher end or on the lower end to let nail polish sit for a full 24 hours at room temperature before opening them. It can be detrimental to your formulation by opening them sooner than that. Alright, I think that's pretty much everything that I think is important to know if you're buying thermals. If I missed anything, feel free to remind me in the comment section because I didn't write down any notes. I'm just going off the seat of my pants as usual. As far as sale information goes, all the polishes in this collection are priced at $15 each, and Holo Taco has a 12 ml bottle. For this thermal reactive sticker pack, you get 3 sheets of stickers for $10. Here is a close-up of the stickers. Even though the collection box is sold out at this point, I do want to take a moment to show it to you all. Here is the front, and look, it is thermal reactive. Here is the front and the back, and then here it is opened up. The inside is also thermal, and there are limited edition boxes for this collection as well. The polish boxes aren't thermal reactive, but they are holographic. And I know all of y'all love Holo Taco just as much as I do, but this is really not the collection to try to hoard. It is not. I would love to know what everyone thought of this release. Are you planning on picking it? Have you already picked it up? Have you received it? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? Everything. Before we end today's video, I do want to give a very special shout out to my channel members, Shenanigang, to thank you guys so much for the love and support. Names of course all on the screen right now. If you would like to sign up for my channel memberships and all the perks that entails with it, there is a link in the description box, or you can click join next to the subscribe button. If you are new to my channel, I would love it if you hit subscribe and join us here on the channel. I upload new videos twice a week, and I also go live every single Sunday. And I do also have a second channel where I post all of my non-nail polish shenanigans. So just thank you all for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give this video a big ol' like if you did, or you could dislike it if you want. Either way, it's fine. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Stay cool, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
When I get high, I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Brian. Yeah, I'm headed to the Bucks, then I'm ballin' like yeah.